STAKK Nation, welcome back to the channel.
Champions!
As always, you are seeing that we are sitting here and we are about to tell you about something very interesting in the Bitcoin world. If I share my screen here, you will see that we are looking at a little something from the people over at our Bitcoin magazine. Now, these people have become a reliable source of information for a very long time. But there was a certain point in time where it seems like they had paid them some money. You see, a lot of money will change people's ways of life. It can even make you sell out your own philosophy. So we thought things were shaky. Or maybe they were just trying to give different angles of perspective.
It's a magazine.
I think it's a lie. Stay on their mission. I have never seen CNN try to give the other person's perspective. Abi? So as we now look at this one article they have written here, they are telling us that breaking dollar hegemony, BRICS nations are leading the world to hyper-Bitcoinization. Why would they say something like this, Double O?
Folks,
Epic.
that is today's show. Man, Bitcoin magazine, we've not done any videos on them lately, but I think it's about time we come back to this. Because why is it now that BlackRock is calling Bitcoin digital gold, that we're now seeing a correlation between Bitcoin magazine now also saying the BRICS nation, which recently was announced that they're going to be using the gold standard as their a digital version of gold as their form of exchange, now talking about it as well, connecting the dots.
Incredible. Well, looking here, it says the emergence of the BRICS and as an alternative to the US dollar global dominance will usher in worldwide hyper-Bitcoinization. In recent years, America's hegemony has been called by China, or at least has been challenged by China.
Hey, calling you out.
Called out by China. You know what I mean? They're like, yo, what's up, you know? A nation which has accumulated a tremendous wealth since opening up its economy to the world. China now seems poised to usurp global power. You see how they're using power? You said they're using
I love that word. I love that word.
We are proud of you, Bitcoin Magazine. Keep it up. You are teaching people new words out here. Given the low level of education in this country at this point in time. Catastrophic. Look at that. Usurp. Good on you. Using good words, man. I love it. So, usurp global power as it continues to engage in a form of financial imperialism across the globe. Right. Today, both Russia and China are part of a global cadre. Bitcoin Magazine. Bro, y'all are punching left and right today, man. Look at these words. I'm loving it. Listen, man. If you're reading an article and the writer does not use some words that you've never seen before, stop reading the article. It was probably written by a freaking illiterate. Okay? Listen. Anyway, global cadre known as BRICS. Now I have clicked on something. Which includes Brazil, India, South Africa, right? And all these other countries
Egypt
that are
supplied.
Exactly. Right? And so as part of this, we know that Russia had been stacking gold. We made a video on this a long time ago. China has been stacking gold as well.
At a faster rate than most people have. As a matter of fact, they have been de-dollarizing at a very fast rate to the point that Secretary Allen has to make a trip to China to say, hey, guys, don't you want our U.S. bonds?
Talk to us more about that U.S. bond situation. How does that work? And why is she going over there to beg for them to buy the U.S. bonds? Because I feel like this cocaine in the White House thing was to distract from something like that. Because cocaine in the White House is not a big deal. I'm sorry to say. It does not make a difference in anybody's life. They're all drug doers to begin with. Okay? Go ahead.
By the way, somebody else will take a hit for that cocaine. Watch that.
For that cocaine?
Somebody else.
Or it might just fade away. They'll just come up with another different type of news.
A month ago, the conversation was China-American war.
Yeah.
Today, we're talking about going to say hello to China to say, hey, how about we settle on our bond or our treasury situation?
Yeah.
Because they see the major de-dollarization.
Is it the same treasury run by BlackRock or sponsored by BlackRock now?
Yes, sir. Sponsored by BlackRock.
Sponsored by BlackRock. Okay. Or managed by BlackRock.
Right.
I guess.
So the U.S. Treasury gives the Federal Reserve the authority to print money.
Yeah.
Right. The Federal Reserve is not the Federal Reserve. It's a private organization. If you look at the history of the Federal Reserve, or you check on their website, you also find out that majority of their managers and their leaders are ex-BlackRockers or ex-bankers. So let's just say Federal Reserve, U.S. Treasury, which also sponsored by BlackRock, has been hijacked by the banks. So Treasury gives the Federal Reserve the authority to print money. Right. And as we all know, the debt rate or the debt ceiling of America has been increased. Yeah. Once that money is printed, it's converted into treasury funds, treasury bonds, right? Which usually goes into iShares, your mutual funds, your 401ks. You actually buy that debt. So when you go on public and they say they're giving you 5.4% back on those bonds, you're buying that debt from the government. The money that they've printed, you're buying it from them.
I wanna pause you there because what you just said, they just actually helped me connect some dots.
Okay.
Listen, you gotta understand. For me personally, I'm not a financial guru, if you will, but I definitely do my part to study finance and educate myself on these things good enough to be able to engage with people, to be able to inform people, and to be able to make good decisions for myself. One thing that I have read about, come across, has been pointed out by many various YouTubers, financial advisors, and so on and so forth, is this idea that even though we're saying that we're against China, if we look in our ETFs, if we look in our 401ks and so on and so forth, a lot of the stuff that we're investing in is actually Chinese companies.
Block share out the way.
Exactly. So if, let's say, for example, we're saying, oh, we don't want China to, get ahead of us in X, Y, and Z, yet we are investing and funding Chinese their growth. Military complex, right? So it would seem to me then that at some point in time, catching along right where on your point where you're saying there, where they convert these treasures and so on and so forth, and they go and try to sell to people. So if they go to China and they say, hey, buy some of our treasures, it seems to me that China will go, well, what is in it for me? If I'm going to buy your treasuries, you have to also invest in my country so that it is a beneficial thing both ways, because at the end of the day, I'm just parking this money in your treasury. It's not like I'm gaining massively from it right now. Do you think that has any sort of tie into why right now we have all this investment assets that essentially sponsor Chinese companies?
There is a room or a table that we're not sitting at.
Yeah.
Where all these decisions are being made.
Right. But we see the outcomes of it.
We get the impact through inflation.
Yeah, we see the impact.
That's just one of the baby steps through the impact. Right. That's a lot more impact. But one of the ones that we see that they try to cover up by ensuring that inflation stays at 2% so that you don't see that is exactly this. Once it goes above 2%, people start feeling it.
Well, we're feeling it now, for sure. We're feeling it. How are they going to get back to 2%? Which, by the way, 2% is really, it was still steady theft.
It's just a number they put out there. The way they get back to 2%, I don't know.
I think they'll just change the number. You don't need to get back to 2%. You just normalize the new number.
Guess what? That's already rumors about 3, 4.
Oh, 3 or 4?
Being the average going forward.
Yeah. Buy Bitcoin, okay? Or stay broke forever. And this is what it is, right? So let's go back to this BRICS nation situation. These guys, obviously, again, going back to your point there, China, a lot of these investments are into Chinese companies and so on. It seems to me that the Chinese companies have already taken advantage of this funding, right? And now they have all these treasuries. As they proceed to de-dollarize, it seems that they have the upper hand to be able to definitely inflict some financial pain on the U.S., which it seems the U.S. can only counter that by printing more money to try and pay for the things that they should not be spending on in the first place.
They're doing sanctions and swift impact on China.
Yeah.
So why do you think China will not de-dollarize if you keep giving them sanctions?
Now, how does this lead into hyper Bitcoinization, right? Because one thing that these BRICS nations are doing right now, other than this de-dollarization situation, is that they're configuring their own reserve currency, correct? Backed by gold. Is that what it's going to be?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we have another reserve currency coming up backed by gold. But the issue to me is that it seems like it's still going to be a centralized situation, clearly. Go ahead.
While we're talking about back by gold, someone might say, hey, but US still has the most gold. Facts.
Do they?
Well, we don't even have
on paper. We don't. There is no evidence of it.
Yeah, we stopped talking.
There's no evidence of this.
Nobody talked about NOx anymore for some reason. NOx is no longer a conversation.
There's
Why
no
did all
evidence.
the US gold go?
Yeah.
You know, so keep that in mind as we have this conversation as well, right?
Yeah.
So, like you were saying, using gold as your value of exchange, does that really fix your BRICS solution?
It doesn't. It doesn't. You know, it's too inefficient money. You're actually just rolling back to before 1970, whatever. So it's a horrible, horrible place to be going back to. I don't think that this is any longer an efficient system. So if this is what BRICS, if this was BRICS' big plan, then I think that is truly disappointing. I expected a whole lot more from these people. I think where these people can fail, I think where these people may be failing, right, with this centralized situation, is if they have this deep desire or they're so focused on being able to take out the US or to punch back at the US for everything that has happened before now. So when I envision this, right, it seems to me that this BRICS thing ends up just being another situation where they create another United States. It might be China and Russia. And then in turn, they proceed to do the same sort of things that the United States has been doing for the many, many past years.
Until the 70s before they switch into the fiat standard.
Right, as revenge, which in that case, I will have to say that is extremely, extremely disappointing, because then they're playing a game that is already past, to be honest. And that actually puts the US in a place where if they proceed to adopt Bitcoin, they can actually escape.
The digital gold.
Yeah. Yeah.
Connect the dots.
Yeah.
Someone is going back to old gold, and now
BlackRock
BlackRock is now
digital
saying
gold.
digital gold.
Yeah.
Counter. They saw the punch coming, moved over, punch.
Okay. Listen, I'm just going to read this final line that Bitcoin Magazine has in this article here. He says the third and final phase is less complicated, right? So obviously you have this initial phase where there is the switch from US dollars to gold. They have now the phase where they go, this is now the beginning of a new era where they create their own,
standard of exchange.
Their own standard of exchange backed by gold. But given the fact that it is still centralized,
China and Russia are still gonna want to challenge themselves. India, of course, and China don't have the best relationships.
Absolutely, China does not have a great relationship with anyone. They need to work on that, because I don't think that these African nations are exactly loyal to them either. I hope and pray that there is literally some African leaders that are staying sharp on this situation. If I was an African leader, and I'll potentially be an African leader one day, don't rule me out, okay? If I was an African leader in the position right now, I think that this is an incredible opportunity to be able to position yourself in a place where you can get these people to be dependent on you in one way or another, build that over time and use it as leverage to bring forth a demand, whether it is only transactions in Bitcoin with your company, with your country, or whatever the case may be. The ball is already on the road.
It's funny you said company, because did you know that the US is a company?
Well, yeah, absolutely. It's a business. Right? Running it as a business, absolutely. Yeah. So it says that on phase 3, this is the less complicated phase. Most of the world would already have transitioned to a Bitcoin standard. For nations that have not already done so, they will notice the increased wealth. Or for nations that have not already done so. So they will notice the increased wealth and standard of living abroad, which is wherever they are not at. By this point in time, right, El Salvador will have become one of the richest countries on earth. Nations still on a gold standard will suffer as a result of being isolated from the rest of the world. Trust in the current system will disappear. I think that trust in the current system is disappearing right before our eyes. If you don't see it, again, rest in peace to your bank account. Because there is no way that this stuff can be ignored for much longer. The rest of us are just looking at you like this. Okay? It is not possible that you don't see it. Right? You're standing in front of a train. Double up.
BlackRock, whatever.
Yeah.
Orange-pilled Mr. Fink. Champions, man. But if BlackRock is playing the game against the BRICS, and that is what this whole adoption of so-called Bitcoin spot ETF is, America's going to win this battle.
If BlackRock is playing this game with the ETF, they're going to lose.
I'm saying in terms of the games against the BRICS nation, by trying to say we have the gold, the digital gold versus the physical gold. Because, BlackRock is holding the Bitcoin for themselves.
Okay,
the folks
so
buying the spot ETF, I don't want to lose it.
So what you're saying is BlackRock is buying a ton of Bitcoin, real Bitcoin, and then they are creating this representation of it so that in the future, when these other countries who have failed to adopt Bitcoin need Bitcoin, they will not actually sell them Bitcoin, but they will sell them a Bitcoin ETF. Shit. Yes, because if you don't have real Bitcoin, you can never ever really be on the real standard. You will always be using the representation of the real standard.
You want to know why the big people in the Bitcoin space always say, what's his name? Matt, or what's his name?
And there's only 21 million Bitcoins.
The Canadian guy keeps saying
that
the biggest thing for Bitcoin to take over now is the bond market.
Oh, yeah. The guy from Canada. I remember him.
Yeah,
I remember him.
I'm running a block on his name.
Yeah, I'm running a bank.
But if the Bitcoin market could be as big, because remember, BlackRock controls the bond market in a way.
Yeah.
All the iShares, right? Imagine now that becoming Bitcoin.
Yeah, in that case, they've all lost. But then, this is what needs to happen. They need to be not any more Bitcoin to buy. So I think technically part of this is actually waiting to that point where we get to 21 million Bitcoins all mined, which means the only way you can get Bitcoin is if you get paid in Bitcoin, which nobody's going to pay you in Bitcoin. They're all going to pay you.
It's going to be so scarce. Connect the dots, y'all.
I need to buy Bitcoin faster, man, because at some point in time, man, it's like if you don't have the real physical Bitcoin, you're on the outside, you're on the other layer. You're not in the layer of the people who know how to interact with Bitcoin. And I think, really, man, moving forward, anyone that needs to pay me with something, if cool, they just pay me with Bitcoin.
The only counter to all of this is misinformation. And misinformation can only last for so long. Yeah.
I hope the BRICS nations have a better plan or a bigger plan than this traditional garbage that they're pushing forward right now.
If I could add AI to this topic,
go ahead.
An analysis was done recently this week, and they said which currency would AI pick. You want to know what currency AI decided to go with?
Which one? Bitcoin?
Bitcoin.
Yeah, math is math. You cannot beat math. So there is that. Ladies and gentlemen, let us know, what are your thoughts? Do you believe that the BRICS nations are smart enough to adopt Bitcoin or to hop on the Bitcoin standard immediately? You would think that these people at least see what El Salvador is doing and jump on it. But,
they love the IMF money, man.
They love IMF money. And they are trapped to that IMF money. And the IMF is extracting everything out of these countries, their resources, everything. Or you can choose to be like El Salvador and learn about Bitcoin. When I think the president of El Salvador really connected deeply with Max Kaiser to learn about Bitcoin. I mean, it seems like he almost has this guy with him everywhere type thing, right? To learn about Bitcoin. And once he learned about it, now you can see how he's operating and doing things for his own country under the Bitcoin standard. We've seen him be able to pay off some of the loans from the IMF. There's been no country that has actually been able to do that. Exactly, right? A surprise. There's been no country that has actually been able to do that. So now imagine if Bitcoin should just move back up to about 67,000 or so where it was. Listen, El Salvador is going to buy the IMF.
As of 30K Bitcoin, El Salvador is profitable on every purchase of Bitcoin.
There we go. Listen, you can also navigate the Bitcoin environment just like El Salvador. All it takes is for you to engage, invest in yourself with some Bitcoin education. That is where we come in, Abi. Our time is not free, but the Bitcoin education is free. So if you just want to get general information about Bitcoin, learn about these things, shoot us a message on one of our platforms, and we'll set up a time and we'll, share everything that we can with you. If you would like to get some practical navigation, learning how to use decentralized or cold wallets, right, and so on and so forth, moving stuff from one wallet to another, Lightning, all of that good stuff. There's also this, what is it called? The lending platforms and so on. Incredible stuff there. Very interesting stuff that will allow you to be able to use your Bitcoin to your benefit without selling it. That is the most important part. Okay? That you can pay us for, and we'll sit down and spend as much time as you need to teach you about it. Of course, if you also want to trade, we can teach you about technical analysis. We have to really whip up our website so that people can go and look into these things there.
Yep.
Okay. But it's one day at a time. We are chugging along. Let us know what you think in the comments. Anything else, by the way, sir, before we go?
Champions do what champions do.
Okay. Be a champion now. So please like the video, share the video. Okay. Contact us on Twitter, STAKK, of course, Spotify. We are there. Okay. Notice that we're ignoring these two in the middle. Thread.
Treading on the thin thread.
Thread. The man's head looked like thread. Madness. You guys are an idiot, man. I cannot believe it. How is this guy still running around out here? Somebody go and put him back in the
Copycats.
Yeah? Chat. How many things have you not copied, bro?
Everything.
Snapchat, you copy. Instagram, you could not copy, so you bought
WhatsApp,
it.
you bought
copy.
it.
Jesus, man. Come up with original ideas, sir. You're like blank paper.
Maybe that's why its space is so blank.
Tell me about it. Where is Metaverse?
In the Metaverse.
Yeah. Sounds like another shitcoin. Okay? Woo! Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, listen. Drink water, stay hydrated.
Exercise.
Vegetables. Eat your vegetables, man. Your multivitamins. Definitely exercise. Because I want to point out one thing to you. You've all been sitting at home. You've reduced your walking since that lockdown situation. I assure you, you're not physically fit as you were before lockdown. So take your ass to the gym. Until next time, Brazen out.
Champions, 00.